I think you saw my passion on this earlier, but there are serious issues, and part of that interview from Arise TV, one of the other questions to me was, well, doesn't the CPC damage Nigeria economically in a way that is going to disincentivize economic growth and foreign companies coming into the country? And my answer to them was actually, I think the current state of violence is as much a deterrent of a foreign company or a U.S. company coming into Nigeria. And I know the goal of the CPC is to correct behavior, but could you explain a little bit exactly what you would expect to see out of a CPC and what sort of changes it might bring? And then I want to address the 1.4 million who are considered the internally displaced people, IDPs, in Benue, and what the game plan would be to provide the IDPs in Benue and Taraba, what sort of assistance they can depend on from the U.S.
Thank you very much, Representative. This CPC designation, we hope, will focus the energy of the government of Nigeria, as well as our own government here, on all of the tools that we have available. And so by setting up this task force that I referred to and looking at all of the types of assistance that we can bring to bear, but more importantly, what the government of Nigeria can do to own this problem and improve security for all Nigerians, but in particular, tackle this problem that we're talking about.
But they have to admit there's a problem first, right? Okay, and I think that's been one of my concerns is I have not seen an actual admission to this being a problem. It's been given excuses and veneers of a lot of other issues that get parroted both here and in the media. Can you talk about the displaced persons and the help that they could be expecting?
On displaced persons, we do have programs that address this, and we want to make that part of the action plan that we are working on. My colleague from DRL may want to provide more in particular on IDPs.
Sure. As Ambassador Pratt just mentioned, the State Department is reviewing options to help IDPs. You mentioned what actions we want to see from the Nigerian government. That includes, as we've mentioned here several times, prosecutions of perpetrators. Amen. That includes reduced violence in the Middle Belt. And that includes
against all.
Against
right?
all. Exactly.
Christians, moderate Muslims, anybody who is not being targeted, right?
Exactly right. So the Trump administration stands firmly for the principle that religious freedom is for all religious communities and those who don't practice a faith. It is a per se good, and we're committed to helping protect communities all around the world who are experiencing religious persecution, not just in Nigeria, not just Christians. At the end of the day, we want the number to be 0 in Nigeria. We don't want any religious persecution to happen. We don't want it to just be a reduction in violence. We want there to be 0 people who are murdered because of their faith.
Amen to that. Corruption continues to undermine Nigeria's institutions, including those tasked with protecting civilians sometimes. I've heard from some of these instances and conversations I've had with religious leaders in Nigeria who don't feel that the Nigerian government is equipped to respond to the crisis. How does corruption within the security forces hinder the government's ability to prevent and respond effectively to religiously motivated violence?
I mean, corruption is a major problem globally and in Africa and in Nigeria. I think that it erodes capability, right? It erodes the confidence of the forces, especially at the working level, if they see that their superiors are engaged in corruption. That totally undermines the whole enterprise.
And I assume that is part of State Department's and this administration's action plan that they want to see out of the Nigerian government.
Absolutely.
The Tinubu government is a crackdown on corruption.
To be more effective, absolutely.
All right, thank you. Time has expired. I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Mr.